the reports and analytics on that presentation as well. If I click on the Share tab, this is where I can get the link to that presentation. So if I wanted to share it via email or outside of Blackboard or, in some other way, I could send users that individual link. With the presentation, I can also come in here and edit the name, the description, change the folder that it's in, and edit some other properties of that presentation as well. And then finally, I can modify the security on it if I need to as well. And typically, as a client user, you really don't touch this too much. And then finally, I can delete that if I select the presentation. That's how you can go through and basically manage the content that's already been created. Down here in my media site, these are my folders. So I can create individual private folders, that's these top few ones here. And I can also come in and, use shared folders as well. So here are some folders that, as a management portal administrator, they determine that I should have shared access to. So these are other folders that I can, create content in and move content to, or share, or modify content from as well. There's a lot of ways to manage that content once you have it there. Now, if I'm looking to create content, that's where I'm going to either use the MediaSite desktop recorder to create content, or I'm going to use the or I'm going to actually, upload media that maybe I've created in some other video editing tool. So if I'm going to go with the desktop recorder application, what I have to do is first install it. So I'm going to come in here and down here at the bottom, it says links to the download desktop recorder. I can just click on that. And when you are installing the desktop recorder for the first time, there's basically 3 steps. Step number 1 is we have to download the recorder. Because I'm on a Mac, it'll give me the little link to download the version for the Mac. Or if I were on Windows, it would give me a similar link that says download desktop recorder for PC. Here's the system requirements that are required for the desktop recorder. So essentially, we need a relatively new workstation or machine, desktop, laptop, whatever you want to call it, with a pretty decent speed. And then you'll also want a built-in or external camera and microphone. So we'll support built-in cameras, or if you have an external USB camera. Essentially, if Windows detects it or Mac detects it as a device, typically our recorder can work with it. Step number 2 is install the desktop recorder. So in this case, bring it up here. I already downloaded the file. So basically on a Mac, I just take my little icon here, drag it over there. In Windows, what you do is you basically run setup, and it'll walk you through a wizard to install that. And once you're done with that, the third part we need to do is actually register the desktop recorder. So this step's really important, and I find a lot of people skip it. Essentially what this is doing is this is going to load the desktop recorder and then connect it to my server so that it works properly. So here, let me double check that it's working right here. It looks like we're connected in, okay. So now the desktop recorder is loaded. So again, this is just kind of a one-time process. So, you'll probably, if you have a technical user, they should be able to go through this without too much issue. If you have a non-technical user, you may need to give them a little more help to kind of get it installed and run. So once we're done downloading the desktop recorder and it's installed and configured, now I can come into Create Presentation. So when I come into Create Presentation, I have 3 options. The first is create a presentation using the desktop recorder. The second is uploading media. And the third is save for later. This is if you just wanted to create an empty presentation that you could load later on the desktop recorder. So let's go to the first one here, the desktop recorder. I'm going to, give this a title here.
Okay, Bill?
Yep.
I think what they would like to see is, and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody from Missouri State, but your current faculty are currently working from within Blackboard and then launching a recording from inside Blackboard. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, Bill, can we launch? This is my understanding that people are going to MediaSite and creating their presentations, and then the only integration we have with Blackboard right now is the LTI. So they would have already had to have had it in MediaSite, and then they create the link in Blackboard. So I think what Plains is wanting to see is how do you do that from inside Blackboard to create your video?
Right. How
That's what I was getting to.
we wanted to see
There
if
isn't a way to use the desktop recorder directly from Blackboard. We have to go through my media site to launch it, or
Okay.
there's ways to launch the recorder locally. But essentially, we got to get our content into media site and then we link to it. So it is a slightly different workflow than
Okay.
what we have now.
and how does the Blackboard building blocks work? That's what we kind of wanted to see how would that building block works without Blackboard, and how would that
So
help us
Okay.
help us with the process of doing a class recording.
So, well, the class recording, I'm kind of walking it through right now.
Right, okay.
So the building block, the basic LTI,
Right.
there's no way to go in there and say, I want to make a new recording and
Okay.
have it launch the recorder.
Yep,
Doesn't-
I think we went through this process already in terms of how to run that my media site recording, and
Okay.
then now I think we like to see how once we have a recording in my media site, or from the recording that we did, how do we integrate it into Blackboard easily without
Okay.
having to use a copy and paste link.
Okay, I got you. Okay, so you've seen this part of the workflow. All right, I apologize.
Right. It's all
I just want
about
to
the
make sure
building
we're
block.
on the same page here. Okay.
And Bill, is there a way using the API or doing some custom programming that we could develop a way to launch the desktop recorder from within Blackboard or the Blackboard building block?
What we would have to do is basically reprogram the building block to launch the desktop recorder from right within Blackboard. So I don't know if that would involve the API or what.
Okay.
We haven't never really discussed doing that workflow yet. So
Okay.
Okay.
I think that's actually outside of the API. It's more of a it'd be more of a core media site piece of function we have to do.
Okay.
So everybody's comfortable with the creation of the content and workflow?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thanks for slowing me down here. I wasn't sure. So let me get into Blackboard here. So essentially, when we're in Blackboard, here's kind of our demo Blackboard server. We go into our courses here. In this example, I have a few courses where I'm an instructor. So what we can do is when we go into a course page, we can come in here and click on basically any one of your pages. So I've made a few course pages to just find these per media site link. And once we're done integrating with Blackboard using the building block, what the end user will see is it's simply a link here to a piece of content. Currently, if you guys are using basic LTI, it looks very similar. It's just actually a different type of icon because it's a different type of connection. So the end product is a similar workflow in the sense that we can link to individual presentations, or we can link to a catalog of presentations.
Okay.
And once it's integrated, just similar to basic LTI, when you click on that, the user is going to get the player is going to launch with a presentation, and it's going to automatically log in that user where they can see that content. Now, there is some differences in how the authentication works, and we can go down that route in a few minutes if you guys want to discuss that in more detail. So there are some, authentication difference, between the two. So if I wanted to add, as an instructor, if I wanted to add a link to a piece of content, I can come in here and basically turn on my edit mode for the page. And then once the building block is created, I can basically come in here and go to link to a piece of media site content. Then from here, I can select whether I want to link to an individual presentation or entire catalog. And then here I can search. So let's see, individual presentations, and we'll find the name of one here. Let's just search for Bill here and see what comes up.
Because it seems to be that with this one, the deal is different instead of copying.
So what we got here is when I search for Bill, it comes in with all the different presentations
The idea of
that we have.
catalog would be
So here's Bill's training.
just something
So what we can do is I can click on that one, and I can bring in multiple ones if I needed to. And that's all the option to overlay the title and the description if I want. So we're basically reading this in from the media site. So what I can do is click my link, click submit. It says I've created the link successfully. Click on OK. And now I have my Blackboard link to that piece of content. Again, when I come in here and I click on that, it's going to start playing. And then on the back end, if I were to look at my analytics here, you can see that, one person's watching the presentation, they're watching Bill's training, and when I come in here, you can see that B churning, which matches up with my user from Blackboard up here, is what's being watched in that presentation. So all of that reporting can be very handy in the sense that you're going to be able to track what the users are watching without forcing them to log in again or even play around basic LTI.
And all those analytics are available to the individual faculty so that they can look at their own presentation data and see who's watching it. They can take it offline if they want to as well. So it gives them a wealth of information relative to their own content. You don't have to generate the reports for them. They can access them through the My Media Site portal.
Report is nice and integrity.
Yeah, then we also have ways that we can send out automated reports via email. So if your faculty aren't, going into My Media Site every day, you could still create reports for them or for groups that just, run on a weekly basis or a daily basis or whatever you'd like.
Okay, Bill, I saw that when you were adding a recording, I saw that you can select a catalog. How does it work with the catalog?
Yeah, certainly. So when we go to the catalog group, so I'm going to link to Site catalog, or I'm sorry, link to content, search for a catalog. Let's see what we got here. Pick a catalog. Again, we can confirm the title and description if you want. Click submit. And again, it's going to give me confirmation that's been done properly. And we got a catalog link. So when I click on that, it shows me, again, that I'm logged in as my user account, and it gives me the multiple presentations on there.
Right. Okay, this is I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, personally, I like to link the catalogs. So maybe you make a course folder at the beginning of the semester and link a catalog right to it, and then link to this throughout the semester. And that way, at the beginning of the semester, the students will see 1 or 2 presentations, and then by the end of the semester, they'll see 20 or 30 presentations.
Right. So it will automatically update as we put the new recordings into the catalog.
Correct.
Okay. So that's what.
Typically, the catalog is
right.
pointed to a folder, and then whatever goes in that folder, the catalog will display.
Right, and that's what something that we is close to what we are using right now, in the sense that instructors don't have to add the recording to the class manually. So when you do a recording from a desktop recorders, can you have it automatically added to catalog, or you still have to go to My Media Site and then move the recording into the catalog?
That's where these shared folders come into play.
Uh-huh.
So down here in the My Media Site, we have these shared folders.
Okay.
So typically what I would do, let me walk through a little more intense example here.
Okay.
So let's say I had, I have one of my folders here. What I can do is make a new folder.
Okay.
And I can select this option to share this folder to My Media Site. So I go into here, make that folder. So here's my new folder, and it gives you a little shared icon. Now what's going to happen is, if I check out my security here, I can basically check out who has access to this folder. So anybody that has full access, in this case Garmesh, my main media signatures, I got a few groups here. Anybody that has full rights or full read-write access to this can move content into that.
Okay.
So what I can actually do here is I can break my security, and I can go in here and specify an individual person. So I could say, all right, Bill Cherney, that's myself, I actually grant them full edit rights to this folder. Or in your specific situation, you would actually grant a professor or faculty or TA or whoever kind of managing that course. You can then specify them as an individual and give them full access to it. And then maybe you have a few groups in here that are student groups or administrator groups that would have different levels of access. And once you grant that user access to that folder and you, quote, share it, down here, I'll refresh my page, Might take a minute or two to show up as well. But once I come into here, I got a lot of stuff here. November 1st training. So now I have this shared folder. So what I can do is when I'm creating a recording, I went to this workflow to create a presentation, I can create it and have it go right into this shared folder. And then what I'd also do is set up a catalog that links right back to that same folder as well.
Okay.
So the idea is that your courses with the hardware recorder will go into that folder,
right,
if you're doing that. Your content created through the desktop recorder or uploaded will go into that folder.
Okay.
And all of those point to a catalog, which you then link to in, iForward.
Right. Can you show us quickly how to create a catalog?
Yeah, sure. So, file window here. So basically, I right-click on the folder, publish again. Yeah. Confirm my name. Let's save. Now I have this catalog.
Wow, that's a difficult one.
Yeah. And from in here, I could, and the security's getting a little messed up because I'm logged in as a Blackboard user and administrator. But from here, I can, tweak the display settings, change out the banner, customize pages I like.
Right.
And then what I can do here is on the Blackboard then, come in here and say add link to media site content, do a catalog. Oops. It should show up here. Sometimes it takes a few minutes to index too, but there's my November 1st training catalog. And keep my title. Okay. Here's my training catalog.
All right.
So it's a few minutes of work per course.
Right. Bill, I'm going to interrupt quickly. When you publish the folder, the share folder to be a catalog, are you able to name the catalog, or you have to use the folder name as a catalog name?
You can name it whatever you want. So when I right-clicked and said, it skipped that workflow. So the way I went through, let me try one more thing. Oh yeah, I could change it right.
Okay, and it would change the folder name, or it would be a separate name between catalog name and folder name.
It'd be a separate name. So
okay.
By default, we give it the same name because it's probably what you want to call it. But I could call this, Fluffy Kittens.
Okay.
That'd be my catalog name, and my folder name is November 1st training.
Okay.
Or maybe this would be the actual unique course number, and then, in the catalog name, you call it, Econ 101, Section 1,
right,
Lecture 2 or something. You give it what everybody else calls it.
Beyond the naming, you have total control in customizing the appearance of the catalog page. We have a whole catalog page editor that you could customize for individual faculty, individual department, or school. You can control the layout on how the content is displayed in a list view, in a tile view. Bill just showed you the simple workflow for creation of a catalog page, but once it's created, you have a complete control over, again, how that appears and how it will be displayed within the course documents page. Kind of a side question on that. If you had a catalog set up, kind of what you just described, had for that individual course, if you use LTI, would you be able to do the same thing, just use the LTI to link to the catalog, and then it would show all the presentations underneath that?
Yeah, so this is where we get into the security differences of LTI versus the building blocks. So the short answer is yes, we could, with LTI, basically, with LTI and Blackboard, the way it's specifically implemented, any link you put in there and you specify that it's a basic LTI link, we would do the basic LTI authentication to the catalog. So it would get you in there. The difference is that, once you're in, when you log in as a basic LTI user, you're basically considered an authenticated user in the media site world. So it's a really generic user account. And then what you have to do is use basic LTI attributes to restrict access to that content. So with basic LTI, typically, unless you do a lot of media site security, it's going to show you as just an authenticated user. And then you can tighten it down. So do a little more work on the back. What's nice about our building block is that when whatever link you create here, a ticket is generated and you're actually authenticated just for that specific presentation or just for that specific catalog. So essentially, we're basically putting the leverage on the instructor to say, if you have access to be able to put a link to that resource on that page, only those users can get to that. Whereas in the basic LTI world, you can put a link to anything on that page. It's going to authenticate you as a generic user. Then it's up to you on the media side end of things to restrict access. So ticketing is generally a little bit better way to go than basic LTI. You know, so you do get that additional functionality, even though from an end user perspective, when you just look at it, it looks like it's doing the same thing. You click on a link, it logs in, you're viewing. On the back end is where it's either more work with basic LTI to secure things, or a little less work with building blocks to secure things.
So just to make sure I understand, so on the media side, when you come in through the building block, you come in as whatever username you used on Blackboard, whereas if you come in through the basic LTI, you're just the LTI authenticated user.
Yeah, exactly. So you're seen as an authenticated user in the LTI world. From the building block world, you're seen as a ticketed user, which actually has more authority.
Right.
But you're going to a real specific thing. So you're going to a specific presentation or a catalog of presentations. You have more authority when you come into the ticket.
So I mean, from my perspective, was not the computer programming stuff. Basically, that for students, the building block would be easier for them to access the recording because they don't have to re-authenticate, correct?
Both ways for the students, they wouldn't have to re-authenticate. From a non-technical perspective, the benefit of the building block is that the faculty or who's ever adding these links, they get the nice little GUI here to, search for content. That's the benefit. That's one of the big benefits of the building block. With basic LTI, how you make a link is you actually go into, you'll say, I want to add a web link. You copy and paste your URL, so they got to find that media site, and then you have to check this little box that says it's a tool provider.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, it's kind of dependent on how your faculty is and who's ever creating these links. If they're comfortable finding a link in another system and just copy and pasting that URL in, basic LTI is pretty good. A lot of your faculty members who are usually less technical prefer the building block because they have that search ability.
Mm-hmm. Right. So for students, it doesn't matter. They still don't have to authenticate when they wanted to watch the recordings.
Correct. For both ways, you're getting single sign-on.
Okay.
So the user interface, in order to add the link, that's the big difference between the two.
Mm-hmm.
I think the building blocks, it's nicer, but it's kind of up to your preference. And then on the back end, the authentication mechanisms, the building block is going to make your life easier in the long run.
Right. Okay. Would the building blocks also include? Is there an embed feature that comes with a building block, like when you're creating a course content in Blackboard, and then there would be embedded
functions? No, there's not a way to kind of do like an iframe embed.
Okay.
They just show up as like this, and there is the option where you can either have the links pop open in a new window,
mm-hmm.
or they pop open and they could open in your frame here in this
okay.
Right. Typically, I have users open them up in new windows because usually you run into issues with your maybe one website's running over HTTPS and one's not.
Mm-hmm.
So popping it up is usually just a little bit easier way to get around that. Some browsers block things with different security.
Can you run through that process again by when instructors wants to create a link to recording through the building block? I wanted to see the screen one more time.
So we go Tools, Link to Media Site Content.
Okay. And then right there. So in order for instructor to choose recordings, they have to only use search. You cannot bring a pop has another link to pop up the list of recording and then choose from that list. They have to use a search.
Correct.
Okay.
There's a few other options here too. So
Mhm.
search through name, description, or tag.
So if you don't type anything in the search box, what happened?
I don't know. That basically doesn't let you do that here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if we
See
did
that message.
yeah.
Please contact your Blackboard administrator. No, that's not good.
I'd say a lot of people, there's a lot of emphasis on the utilization of tags in content, tags being specific to an instructor or a course or a section.
Right.
Yeah, it looks like it should return results. Probably running on demo servers, if that's working. Looking at this here real quick. There we go. Okay, so the results, no results, because weird error. All right. I got to look into that one.
Also, from this point, you can search more than one recordings at a time, right?
Correct. If I had multiple recordings here, I could
Okay.
bring those in.
So how will that display? Will it display 3 separate links then?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I think for instructors, if they were to do that, we may have to, instruct them to use a course number in the recording name. So it's easy for them to get the list of all the recordings for that class. And
Or if you go to their catalog, you have the course number in the catalog.
Right.
You add one link to begin.
Right.
After done.
right. Yeah, the main
Print the catalog. It makes life a little bit easier.
right. The main reason that we contact Chuck was looking at the building block was because we currently are using desktop lecture recording tools that is already integrated into Blackboard. So basically, what instructors need to do is to go to Blackboard, click on that. We have a link to take them to that recording classes, and they click on the link, and it would take them to a recording space for that class. They click on record buttons. They'll get a recorder, and then once they record that class, they click save and upload. It will automatically upload to that recording section, the recording class. Sorry, and then that's all they need to do. Students can now go to that Blackboard, click on that link, and it will take the students to that recording class, and then they can see all the recordings that are being recorded within the class. So that's why we wanted to see if the Blackboard building block would facilitate or would streamline that process for the instructors.
Yeah, I see where you guys are going with that. That makes a lot of sense. So I'll submit some feature requests for that.
Right.
That's a nice workflow. I don't know how we make it work on our end. I'm thinking through it right now with folders and everything.
Right, right.
But,
But right now, I think catalog would be something that's close to what we are currently using. So, the point is that we find it successful because our instructors don't have to think much when they are recording class. They walk in, they click on Blackboard classes, and then they go click record. And then when they're done at the end of the class, they click upload, and they walk away. And then in the next 10-15 minutes, the recording will be available for students to watch.
Mhm.
So they don't have to
Yeah.
go back and search or click upload and choose the place to upload it to. I know it's not a lot for us, but for instructors, they already have handfuls of stuff that they have to do. Sometimes they find this kind of small tasks that we ask them to do to be a challenge.
Yeah, and what I would kind of a revised workflow that our users pretty much go through now is we put the catalog in, and then
Right.
then they're doing everything through My Media Site. So anything that they put in the folder within My Media Site then
Right.
shows up in their catalog.
Right. And within that folders, you can also copy recording from one folder to another too, correct?
We do what's called a shortcut.
Okay.
It's a very similar idea.
Okay.
But instead of having copies of the same presentation, you have shortcuts to that,
Right.
the original.
Right. Okay. Because we may have multiple sections, instructor that teach in multiple sections that they may want to use the same recordings.
Mm-hmm.
But
That makes sense. Yeah, we can support that. So.
Right. Can you show us quickly what you refer to as a copy shortcut or create a shortcut?
Yeah. I don't know if we can do that. I don't think that's in this version of my meeting, but I can just see.
Okay. But it is something that might be available in the future.
Yeah, so in the management portal here, so let me find a presentation here. So if we go into an existing presentation, we can basically come into more, create a shortcut.
Right.
And, you pick the title, description, you can change out your tags, you can change the folder it sits in, and we click on save. So now when we go back here, we have the, here. So we have basically our shortcut to the on-demand presentation, and then we had our original up here. What I can do is I can actually, I can move this into a folder. This one here. I can move that in my shared folder. And when I come back here, that's my catalog right there.
I don't know how to phrase
It shows up right there.
Can you ask you about?
What about the security settings? Does the shortcut have its own security settings?
Different instructors use.
Yep. So when we come into,
How would that the recording, because the recording will save the authentication?
I can come here and basically control the security of that shortcut. So what it does is we can have it just inherit from that folder the security settings, or we can override them.
Automatically.
So it's treated kind of like an individual presentation. It's just linking back to the original.
Because they install apps on the software on the computer, they can directly go to the application and run that program. I don't know if that authentication is saved from the previous user or by profile.
Yeah, I had a question, if you have a second. This is Heath on the West Plains campus. Let me give you a scenario. We have instructor stations, and we have multiple instructors logging into the computers. When they log into MediaSite under their profile, is that profile specific, or when you log into MediaSite, is that for the whole? I mean, can anybody get to it? Or I assume everybody has a different login that's associated with the. I guess what I'm trying to say is when they log into the computer, can the next person come in and log in and get into the MediaSite too?
Yeah, the settings are all stored at the user profile level. So if you have two users sharing the same computer, user one would have their version of MediaSite that's configured their way, and user two would have their version of it configured their way.
Okay.
So I'm trying to say, the users can also run the recorder directly from the computer, right? They don't have to go to My Media site to run the recorder to create a presentation. Right. As long as you can. As long as they can locate that My Media site recorder program on the computer.
Exactly. So, if I go into My Media site here, I can click on Manage. Here's all my my local recordings that have been saved on my computer.
Right.
So if it hasn't been uploaded yet, I could basically upload that.
Right.
Are those saved in the individual profiles as well on the local computer, I assume?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're saved. Yeah, they're saved in the user's C, and then your local store.
Right.
Yeah, so every user's recordings are basically set up on its own.
Mm-hmm. So what happens if you close this recorder and then you run it directly from the applications folder? you open it from application folders, but not from the My Media site.
Oh, yeah, we can do that as well. So if I just came in here and, oops, if I just launch it this way, it just loads up this way. And then what we'll want to do is make sure I sign in here.
Okay. I think
So
that's
they
what
can record locally.
that's what our question is. That automatic sign-in that was saved based on the user profile.
I think you have to log in separately. It's the same account that doesn't do a single sign-up from the machine to the application. Is that what you're saying? Pass through the information.
No, I mean.
This is Active Directory authentication here. So.
Okay.
So essentially, when we installed the desktop recorder, remember we had that step 3 that did the register.
Mm-hmm.
That essentially connects it to the server, in this case demo.mediasite.com.
Okay.
And then in here, I'm saying, okay, who do I want to log into against demo.mediasite.com?
Right.
And then what will happen is if I do a local recording and I just try and upload it, it'll dump it right into my private folder.
Okay.
Now, once it's in that private, then I can move it into the shared folder, my November 1st training folder if I want to do that.
So when you upload it from the local collection, can you choose what folder you wanted to upload to?
No, you're not able to do that.
So in order for you to record it directly to that shared folder, you have to start a recording from My Media site.
Well, the nice part is if I launch it from the web interface, then I can choose which folder it goes in.
Right.
If I launch it from the recorder interface, it basically uploads it, puts it in an offline mode, and then just in your private folder.
Okay.
So I can record completely offline, which is nice, but then I got to get it up to the server, and then I got to move it off the server. So it's really a preference on your workflow, whether you want to have to go to the web interface first and say where you want to specifically launch a desktop recorder and have it published.
Right.
Or if you want to launch a desktop recorder and it just publishes to some generic folder, the private folder, and then you move it on later.
Okay. And I think I remember I asked Chuck last time about that the local recordings. How long is it saved there? Is it something that users would have to manually delete it out of the computer, or it is something that's kind of once it's uploaded, it will be removed from the local machine?
It depends how you have it set up. The default is, I can't remember what the default is because I've reinstalled it so many times. I think the default is keep an access or a particular number of recordings.
Okay.
And then when I come into manage here, I can always choose which recording I want and just remove it to free up some space.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't remember which the default setting was.
All right.
That's the one that I've had a fresh installed.
Right. But you can you can still also that once it's uploaded, you still have a backup on your computer. You can still re-upload again if there's anything wrong with the upload.
We make re-uploading a little difficult because once you do it, we just say it's uploaded.
Mm-hmm.
But there are ways you can get to it. It's just not a major workflow. I'm trying to think about the questions that
I had a question about the building block versus what we already have. You said something about the reporting. With that, does building blocks include anything with the reporting, or is that just MediaSite has the not recording but reporting? As far as the information, getting the data out to see statistics, that's just the MediaSite, I assume, right? We can pull that information.
Yeah, it basically passes through. What we do is we pass in your Blackboard login name. So in this case, mine's B-Journey, to MediaSite for reporting. So the end results are going to look the same to both systems again. We're going to pass both the login. I think Blackboard, basically, you can change login and your email address, but it essentially does your username again.
So adding the building block doesn't give you any better recording or reporting features, right?
Nope, it basically, it does that right at authentication. So
Okay.
It's the same thing.
Right.
Yeah, the thing with basic LTI is, it's actually a very good implementation in Blackboard. If you guys had, Sakai or D2L, the implementation of basic LTI is horrendous. So the big things you're gaining with the building block are over the building block over basic LTI is, the user interface for finding content instead of manually linking to it. And you're also gaining on the back end, the way it authenticates with a ticket is actually easier to manage in the long run. You come in as a specific ticketed user instead of a generic authenticated user. So what this means is that on the back end, you could have all of your content secured so only administrators can get to it, but then because you're coming in with a specific ticket, a Blackboard user can see it. Whereas when you come in through basic LTI, if you had a folder of content that only administrators could get to, you would never be able to see that through basic LTI because you're only seen as an authenticated user. Right now on the front end, it seems like a minor difference, but I know from just kind of experience with other customers, as your content grows and as you're trying to manage more and more, the building block makes your life easier.
Actually, two questions. This is going to be questions based on what we currently use our lecture capture, lecture recording.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to create a public link that would not require authentication? So basically, if you have a link that we want someone else to see it, not the person on campus.
Yeah, so what you could do is when you're, let's see here. So when you go into our security,
Mm-hmm.
what we can do is break the security here, and then we just add in everyone to this.
Okay.
So say everyone has view access. And what this means is that if you sent this link to me, to your mother, essentially, has no media site user affiliation, no campus affiliation, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it by just clicking on the link.
Okay.
And it also means that if you're logged in or if you're coming in through Blackboard, we're going to, auto log you in and try and get the reporting.
Right.
The downside to the everyone access is that, you're getting more generic results unless you kind of trick the users into logging in somehow.
Right.
So it'll just show more use as anonymous. But if
Right.
you don't really care, you just want general stats, that's usually okay.
Right. So next question is there any exporting features, like exporting into a video format?
Yeah, so with Media Site, essentially we have our content is 2 screens right now, and even going forward, version 7 will be 3 screens or 4 screens.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, on the Media Site presentation, if you wanted to save it offline, we have what's called publish to go format.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically a zip file where you download it and you can watch it offline,
Right.
and it looks and plays just like a normal Media Site presentation.
Okay.
If you're looking for something more like a generic flat video file,
Right.
we have a vodcast module that you can download and install and purchase.
Mm-hmm.
And what the vodcast module will do is essentially it'll ask you for every presentation. It'll say, okay, I got video and slides in this one. Where do you want the video? Where do you want the slide? And it kind of does an overlay.
Okay.
And flattens it all out into a single MP4 video.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that would be
So it gives you a nice generic video
Right.
of your content. It's just not going to look as good as the full Media Site.
right. So that would be additional tools or feature from media site.
Yeah, that's an add-on.
That's correct.
Right. Okay. All right. So, and another thing would be probably kind of software request, because we had some experience with the desktop recorders that sometimes users forgot to turn off the recording.
Mm-hmm.
So is there any way that you can kind of put the maximum number of the maximum length of recordings?
Yeah, it's limited to 2 hours right now.
Okay. Even the desktop recorder.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so once it runs out of hard drive space, or if it hits the 2 hours, it'll stop.
Okay.
In the version 7, which is coming out next year, that's going to be listed to 4 hours.
Okay. Yeah, we had a 10 hours recording the other day
Yeah.
of the screensaver.
Yeah, it happens.
So
That brings up a good point, too, that with the My Media site and the desktop recorder, you also have the ability and can make the ability available to faculty to edit any presentations that they have using a web-based editor.
okay.
So if you did have a recording that ran on, you could bring it up and cut
Okay.
the final hour and 15 minutes of it, or you can do middle cuts, you can
Right.
cut heads and tails, whatever. And Bill's showing it to you right now as well.
And this is available for all the users, right? Or just
Yeah.
admin.
Yep.
Okay.
There's a really bad video of me doing a sample recording, but essentially I could come in here, and let's say I forgot to pass, I'd let it run long a few minutes. I could just come in here across the end, and then go up to commit,
Looks mine too.
commit to current, and then it just overwrites it, cuts off that last chunk of video.
Right. Okay. What kind of task that you can do, editing task that you can do in this editor, on this editor?
Sure. So we can trim the beginning,
Uh-huh.
trim the end. So I wanted to cut out a chunk in the middle.
Okay.
The dog started barking. You
Right.
can cut that out. You can cut that chunk.
Mm-hmm.
I can also do fades and transitions. So by kind of dragging these little small things, I can have it fade out,
Right.
fade out, and fade back in.
Uh-huh.
I can have it fade in the beginning, fade at the end. I can also retime any slides, so if I need to change them around.
Okay.
And I can also edit the slides, so I can put in a title and description if I need to for accessibility needs.
Right.
And I can replace that slide. So if I had a new image somewhere, and
Yeah.
from usually you just kind of export the slide as a JPEG of a PowerPoint. I could just replace that with a new JPEG slide.
So because it
And cut and paste the slides too.
yeah, because it captures slide as a still image, right? It doesn't do full motion from the computer.
Not in this version.
Okay.
In the next version coming out in January, it'll do. I can either do video and slides like you can today to keep the bandwidth low and keep it crisp,
Right.
or I'll be able to do 2 videos. And since my webcam would be one and my desktop would be another.
Right. So
And then on our
Very
hard
present.
recorder. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If you create a presentation using the desktop recorder and the screencast and audio, isn't that full motion video of the desktop?
Yeah, that's another option.
Okay.
When I'm recording, I do have the option to do, we call it a screencast. That's audio from my microphone, and then my desktop is the video.
So looking at this screen here, it looks like you can edit all the tracks, right? You can edit the tracks that display slides. You can edit the tracks, audio tracks, and then video tracks. You can edit them separately, or you have to edit them all together.
You have to edit them all together. So
Oh.
I'm not actually able to edit the audio track. So I couldn't go in there and cut out a chunk of audio. Basically what I'm doing is here, if I'm doing a crop,
The
it's
whole-
cropping all 3.
All 3 tracks together.
Yep. Now with my slide, I get a little bit of leniency because they're individual images. I can move it around and edit that track individually, if you will. And then I can edit the audio and the video together, but I have to kind of they're lumped together.
Right. So basically, audio and videos are together, and then
Yep.
and the slides you can kind of add a new slides that with a better pictures
That's
or maybe
right.
better information.
Exactly. So what I could do is, let's say I had just a raw video of me talking for 20 minutes. I could upload that to my media site, and then I could go in there and drop in slides after the fact to make kind of a full media site presentation if I needed to.
Okay. All right. That's looks really good.
And then it saves all the revisions too, so I could go back and do a selective undo, or we save different projects as well too. So this will link up one project, but all my major save points I can go back and restore if I need to as well. And then if my video was horrible, which it kind of is at this point, it's like a Saturday morning recording, I could just convert this to audio and slides if I wanted to as well.
Mm-hmm. Also, you can remove the video out and leave the audio.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, it all depends on, this case is Saturday, I haven't shaved and just recorded my headphones in, so not the best recording, but, I got the content out. But that's what a lot of, I think, your faculty will be doing with this, too, with the recording on the weekend. It may not be the best lighting, the best situation, but you get the content out. So it all depends on your audience and, kind of what to expect.
I think most faculty just record audio and they video of the desktop for most of this stuff.
And that's the case here too. I mean, they're not comfortable recording themselves on the video yet.
Yeah. Hey, Bill, could you very quickly just show them a heat map in the analytics of a presentation?
So down here, let me see. Try to think of the best place to show you here. Within your analytics, it basically runs a statistics report where it shows me. There's some old results here. So basically what we're doing here is this report shows, presentations that were viewed, well, this case, January 14th, 2012, January 21st. But essentially it shows all these different, presentations that were watched. And then I know this is one of my presentations is what it's streaming. So I may be going here and be interested to say, okay, I got 35 users watching it. Here's kind of the rate of people watching it. But I can come in here and see which users have been watching the content. There we go. So I can see most people are coming in as anonymous. I watched it 4 times. Me as that admin watched it 2 times. We can tell by the email. I can tell somebody, a guy on my team, Paul Baumgartner. I can tell it's the sales rep, Bill Stefanski. They've viewed it twice and once respectively. I can check the IPs that you're coming in on. So we can see a lot of people coming from Comcast or universities. And then here is what Chuck was talking to, the heat map. Here I can tell that most people are watching, up to the first minute of my presentation, and, up through minute 2, it's still pretty, important to people. But then, they dive off a little bit. It's usually the last, 30, 60 seconds, people dive off altogether. They're just kind of closing out the presentation. So what's nice is I can go in here and see, all right, most people are watching this. They may just determine that this isn't for them and it's over their head. Or, the hit rate is still pretty consistent. I think most people are sticking with the presentation, about 50% of them are. And then, if they're interested, you can see which platforms they're coming in on as well. So we got Chrome, IE, Firefox, Safari. Most people are on Chrome and IE. So it's good. So that's sort of pulling these reports. And the reports can be shared with, individuals or, they can pull in a similar report within the community site on a piece of content as well.
So faculty can see which of their students have watched the lectures. If they have a particular student who's struggling, they can go in and verify whether they've watched the video recordings of the class lectures, and if they have seen them, they can say that's why you're failing, or they can get these individual presentation heat maps, and if they see an area that is particularly heavily watched, that is a cue to the faculty that that's a topic that maybe they need to revisit in a future lecture and go back and cover again. So some faculty get very excited about that capability.
Yeah, so in this case, I can see that Chuck didn't watch my presentation. So if he's asking a question, he may be one of these 26 people that aren't anonymous. I'll be like, Chuck, come on. If you watch my video, I'll be like, yeah, I totally did. Like, Chuck, no, you did.
I came in anonymously.
Right. It's nice. I mean, as a team leader, I can see who's watching the stuff. On my team, from a corporate perspective, it's even nice. And, same concepts apply to it, an educational perspective.
I know on an administration level, Mike Fisher up at the Springfield campus is pulling out some of this data and looking at total numbers of presentations created, and the number of authors, the number of views, and it's really astonishing how much content is being created in the Missouri State University already. Of course, that data is of interest to administrators primarily. Any more questions? Bill, anything else you want to cover?
I can cover whatever you guys need to. So I'm good with, if you guys, any other questions. You guys got a lot of good questions, so, yeah, whatever you want.
Chulapon had to leave. He had another training to go to, so I don't know what other questions to ask on our end.
This is Mike. I didn't know he was gone, so he was pretty much driving this, so I don't have any questions at this time.
One thing I did want to ask, though, was about the building block. As far as the authentication piece, is there anything we have to do special in our network or in our on our domain to do the authentication, or as far as setting up?
No, not really. It's all over HTTP or HTTPS.
Okay.
So it's, once you install the building block, essentially you give it the server app URL, login, and a password. And that's really about it.
Okay.
Pretty easy to get going. It's all it's a WAR file. So you download it once you purchase it. Download it, install it to the web interface. You're running.
Okay.
Well, I guess if there's no further questions, we'll wrap this up. If you have any questions, you can email me directly, chuckc@sonicfoundry.com, or go to Chulapol, and we'd be happy to follow up with you.
Okay. Well, I do have one unrelated comment, and I put this on the survey, but I just wanted to tell you guys how impressed I am with your tech support when we were dealing with this database issue and then the services that needed to be restarted, that I was totally clueless on what was going on. But of the 3 guys that I've worked with just on this issue, all of them were fantastic.
Thank you very much. I'll be sure and pass that along to those guys.
It's good to hear. I mean, I'm sorry you have issues, but when you do, I'm glad they're getting resolved quickly.
Well, yeah, it's not your issue. I mean, it was our use of SQL Express, so.
So that's what it was. It was basically you did cap out SQL Express, and now you're running a SQL Server.
Yeah.
Good, awesome. So I'm guessing they exported the database and was pointing you to the new one.
Yeah. Yep. That's what we did.
Great. So I'm glad we got that together. Yeah, the 10 gigabyte limit, people are starting to get bumped up to that, and it's a good sign. It shows you're using it, but you run out of data quick.
Do either of you guys know then if that took care of the problem that Diana Botsford was having as far as creating recordings?
Yes.
Okay, good.
We had a little bit of a problem where it's like we got the database updated, and it's like, yep, okay, everything looks fine. I can log in on my media site, so everything must be good. And then she started submitting things, and it's like, no, I'm still seeing the same problem. And then that's when I called back, and Dennis came in and started looking at some of the services, and because of the disruption, I guess, with the database, the services had stopped, and I just about what services needed to be running and didn't restart the other machines because they didn't want to disrupt other people. And
Right,
so,
I remember that.
Once he got everything started, then we looked at there were like 82 tasks that were logged, and so it started working on that, and it took basically that day to get everything worked out, and I was watching her issues and sent her an email when all hers were processed.
Good.
Everything.
Keep an eye on those services to make sure they're running. You may even want to set up, if you got some monitoring tools on your server, you could even set those up and just ping the services to make sure they're going. Because if they fail, or if you run into something that does fail, it basically it keeps retrying and starts filling up your log files quick. That's an issue we have seen, where people's databases start blowing up inside because they have some services failing. And over the course of a few weeks of it pinging it every 3-4 minutes, saying, "Oh, I failed," it's logging all that.
Yeah. I think we're suffering a little bit from it's managed by several different people that are in different units, and like I'm fairly clueless on the front end side, and Mike doesn't know much about the back end, and Ken McClory is, kind of knows both, but that's not his primary responsibility. And so I think that hurt us a little bit on this. So.
Yeah, definitely. That's something that we would like to work to resolve, to have a centralized support structure at the campus. You're exactly right, Mike. It's kind of management by committee right now, and it's an enterprise application. We've got, I think Mike said, over 95,000 views of presentation content, so it's achieved critical mass, but we don't have a centralized support environment for that. So that's something I'm working and will be working with David Carabella on to, somehow work with the university administration to take that support on and consolidate that.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting how, because it's basically the same thing happened with Blackboard. It went from, a nice thing to have to the critical resource, but we still kind of manage it by committee.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that, on the server side, that's definitely come out of central IT, which I think you're a part of. MediaSite's kind of a hybrid application in that we touch classrooms with David's group, we touch the servers with the central IT server group, and also work with the faculty. So it does take a multi-pronged support approach to provide that. We did some training last week for the Central Support Services group, and I don't know how that has panned out since it was done, but we did do that training last week. Bill conducted that.
Yeah, and I was probably lax in not getting in on that, but I had other fires to work on.
Right. You guys got other things to do too. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I think when in doubt, if you run into issues, don't hesitate to reach out to tech support. Call the 800 number, I guess the 877 number, and somebody will help you out there quick.
Yep. Yeah, they definitely.
Most impressive. Those guys are sitting at a phone in front of a screen at a desk. Bill is on a plane, train, or automobile most times, so he's more difficult to reach. Well, thanks very much for your time, everybody, and have a great weekend.
Okay, you too.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Take care, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Bill, would you call me?